I had never seen my wife so exhausted yet still standing firm, enduring such blatant humiliation right in our own yard in Cedar Grove. With a haughty expression and a bitter tone, Ms. Tyler pointed her phone at my wife as if she were a criminal. For so long, my wife had tolerated this silently, all to keep the peace for our family. But that morning, when she finally shouted in the street, "I'll call the real police," I could see her shoulders straighten. No more resignation, no more submission. In that moment, I knew she was no longer backing down. The storm was about to be swallowed by justice. After 8 months of quiet life in Cedar Grove, my wife and I had moved into our dream home. We'd worked hard for it, and even though the HOA occasionally overstepped, we believed we could enjoy some sense of tranquility. My name is Mark Stevens. I'm 38, and I work in corporate finance. My wife, Emily, 35, holds a sensitive position in county law enforcement, information we rarely shared with neighbors. She keeps things low-key, always in plain clothes. So many assume she's a school administrator. But what our neighbor Ms. Tyler, 45, the HOA president, didn't know was that Emily had far more authority than she could ever imagine. And she was about to find out. It started over something innocuous. Emily would sometimes park her unmarked sheriff's car in our driveway when returning from night shifts. Standard procedure: an officer can temporarily park at home to grab personal items and change uniforms before heading inside. It never stayed long, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I figured it might even deter crime. But one Monday morning, Ms. Tyler knocked on our door like she was reporting a 5-alarm fire. She nearly shook the whole porch with indignation. "Mr. Stevens?" she barked, clipboard raised like a legal weapon. "Why is there a police vehicle in your driveway? This clearly violates Section 4.3 regarding commercial vehicles." I calmly explained it was temporary, routine. She waved it off. Rules are rules. No exceptions, and thrust a $50 fine notice into my hands, warning of a $200 penalty next time. This community has standards. A few days later, Ms. Tyler began what she called her enhanced monitoring. Whenever she spotted the sheriff's car, she'd burst out from behind hedges with her phone and a stopwatch, documenting time, weather, even how long Emily stayed. She'd email the HOA board and neighbors with subject lines like "urgent violation, immediate action required." My inbox was flooded. 7:42 a.m., commercial vehicle spotted. 7:58 a.m., violation continues. 8:05 a.m., still here at 23 minutes. It was absurd. At the HOA's next monthly meeting, Ms. Tyler came prepared with a full-color presentation, photos, timeline charts, maps, laser pointer in hand, accusing us of repeated violations. "Before Mr. Stevens speaks," she announced, "you must see the evidence." My turn came. I stood and calmly explained Emily's role: temporary parking, legal under county law. She cut me off. "The law doesn't play favorites. Maybe you should move somewhere rules actually matter." Neighbors snickered. I felt my blood boil. Her campaign turned darker. She began whispering rumors. We were abusing law enforcement privilege, taking bribes, or even that Emily wasn't really a sheriff. Neighbors started treating us like outcasts. Mrs. Garcia, once friendly, asked if she should worry about living next to the police family. Emily urged me to be diplomatic. People like that sometimes just need to feel heard. But Ms. Tyler escalated. She filed a formal complaint with the department, alleging misuse of government vehicles. Emily was called into Captain Reed's office. Professional as he was, even he found it absurd Emily had to defend timing her parking brakes between calls. It crossed a line when Ms. Tyler installed her own security camera facing our driveway and entryway. She'd wave at it when we came home, sometimes filming just because she could. One morning, she tailed Emily as she left, amateur detective and spy. Emily hit her breaking point. "This is harassment and stalking," she told me. The final straw came one Saturday morning after a grueling 12-hour shift. Emily was getting out, tired and in uniform, to change and rest. Ms. Tyler swooped in, screaming, "You've humiliated this neighborhood. I'm calling the real police," turning the block into a stage for her meltdown. Emily tried to politely ask for 5 minutes. "No excuses," Tyler shrieked. That evening, over cold coffee, Emily spoke in a tone I'd only heard in court. "It's time we stop handling this diplomatically," she said, her predatory smile returning. She would investigate the HOA with the precision she brought to every case. Emily had 15 years in law enforcement, from patrol to detective, specializing in financial crimes and corruption. And now she would investigate Operation Violet Blouse, her internal name for this mission. Within a week, she studied the HOA bylaws with detective-level precision. She discovered that 6 months ago, Ms. Tyler had enacted sweeping bylaw changes without any vote, which violated California's civil code requiring 60% resident approval. Emily accessed her county-level databases and background checks. Ms. Tyler had a long history of aggressive HOA enforcement and had even settled a neighbor harassment suit in her previous community. This wasn't a one-off. She'd been targeting families for years. We quietly gathered testimony. Mrs. Rodriguez had paid $300 after her son's broken-down car sat too long. The Patterson family was fined for roses that grew 2 inches too tall. A young couple was cited for hanging laundry outside, during times that never existed in any official rulebook. All orchestrated to squeeze money. Emily, as sheriff, also had access to financial records. What she found was astonishing: over $15,000 in fines over 8 months. 89% of which were deposited into Ms. Tyler's personal accounts and not HOA funds, plus no tax reporting, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and possible tax evasion. Armed with documentation, testimonies, financial records, and legal citations, we prepared. Emily reached out to the county prosecutor's office, but before filing charges, we let Ms. Tyler explain herself publicly one last time, at the next HOA meeting. When that night arrived, 47 out of 52 homes attended. The room buzzed. Ms. Tyler stormed in, wearing her purple floral blouse and clutching her clipboard. She called the meeting to order and aimed sharply at us before I stood. She gave me exactly 2 minutes fine. I asked the crowd, how many had actually read the current bylaws? Only a handful. How many had voted on the recent changes? Nobody. The murmur spread. She claimed she had emergency authority, but under California law. That's flatly false. Emily stood. Then she flashed her badge, Sheriff Emily Stevens of County Law Enforcement. Silence fell like a thunderclap. Emily calmly laid out the facts. Unauthorized bylaw amendments, fine monies diverted to personal accounts, tax evasion, and breach of fiduciary duty. I passed out spreadsheets showing the $15,247 in fines primarily going into Ms. Tyler's personal bank account. Mrs. Rodriguez, trembling, asked if her $300 supported a playground. Emily nodded gravely. No, it went to Tyler's pocket, not the HOA fund. The room erupted. Neighbors shared stories, fines over mailbox colors, children playing, garden height. It all fit a pattern. Ms. Tyler tried to defend herself, but her words rang empty. Then Emily presented a court order suspending her from all HOA roles on charges filed by the county prosecutor: fraud, tax evasion, breach of fiduciary duty. The power drained from Tyler's face. She left quietly, stripped of authority and facing felony charges. What followed was healing. 3 months later, Cedar Grove had transformed. Ms. Tyler moved away under probation, restitution orders, and a lifetime leadership ban. We revamped the HOA governance, open forums, a 5-person board, independent audits, and community votes on major decisions. Mr. Patterson became interim president, focusing on transparency and shared responsibility. Emily launched Homeowner Rights and Associations, a free educational program. The first session drew 35 residents curious to defend themselves. Workshops covered bylaws, detecting fraud, and handling unfair fines. Victims became advocates. Mrs. Rodriguez became HOA secretary. They created a community justice fund, financed through legitimate fines and donations, to support residents in disputes and offer mediation resources. Our story drew attention beyond Cedar Grove. Emily was invited to testify before the state legislature, contributing to new regulations mandating HOA audits and limiting unchecked power of HOA boards. Her presentation went viral online, inspiring communities statewide to examine their own associations. She was honored by the state attorney general's office and joined a task force to prevent HOA abuses. What began in our driveway became a catalyst for civic reform. Democracy does begin at home. When neighbors stand together, informed and united, they can overcome corruption and demand accountability. Today, every new Cedar Grove resident receives a handbook, Your Rights and Responsibilities in Community Associations, authored by Sheriff Emily Stevens. The handbook includes legal resources, instructions to challenge fines, and one core message: every voice matters. The true victory wasn't simply removing one corrupt HOA president. It was rebuilding a community on foundations of justice, respect, and transparency, a legacy of resilience born from relocation of a simple sheriff's car.